The out-thrust left arm of the disciple startled and astonished its first viewers in 1600. It breaks into the space in which we stand. The naturalism of this painting of Christ at Emmaus by Michelangelo Merisi, known as Caravaggio, was unprecedented. Its intention is to convince us that we're actually participants in this astonishing event, God's presence in the flesh. We may no longer regard the earth as unique, Caravaggio seems to be saying, but God has dwelt amongst us. Divinity and sanctity are to be found in our midst. Caravaggio went out into the streets of Rome and put the people he found there in his paintings. He came to Rome from northern Italy in the last decade of the 16th century. A strange, violent, driven man, he was in permanent revolt against authority. Caravaggio was always in trouble with the police. Just around the corner from here, on the Campo dei Fiori, he killed a man in a quarrel and had to flee the city. He was a carouser and a libertine and painted himself that way. But the way he painted religious subjects was as shocking to his contemporaries as his behavior. He painted St. Peter as a confused and frightened old man. The Virgin in life as a neighborhood housewife. The Virgin in death he painted as a swollen, careworn corpse. The painting was rejected by the monks who commissioned it. Never before had they seen the Virgin Mary represented as dead rather than dying. Caravaggio was rebelling against idealized depictions, such as this Conversion of St. Paul by Taddeo Zuccaro. This was the conventional way in which divine intervention on earth was portrayed, like a fabulous dream. But Caravaggio sought to draw the beholder in, to make the worshipper a participant in the drama enacted on the canvas. In a small chapel in the church of Santa Maria del Popolo in Rome, Caravaggio's Conversion of St. Paul depicts the intrusion of the divine into human life as a real moment, meant to be seen from the perspective of someone kneeling in prayer. A contemporary commented that it looked like an accident in a blacksmith's shop. But Caravaggio, in the spirit of the Counter-Reformation saints, was pleading through his pictures for man's direct knowledge of God. One of the principal devices he used to achieve his purpose was chiaroscuro, the contrast of light and dark in the canvas. Caravaggio rejected the convention of attributing the light source to a radiant divine figure. Here, no divinity is visible. There is no explanation for the light source within the painting. Light just appears and totally overwhelms Paul. Light itself is the presence of God. Darkness is where God is not. Caravaggio was one of the first artistic bohemians. Rebellious, uncompromising and dissolute, he died at 37. Late in his short life, he portrayed himself as the decapitated Goliath. It's the work of a deeply religious man, depicting his own damnation. While Caravaggio saw himself in the headless Goliath, the young Gian Lorenzo Bernini gave his features to the heroic David. Bernini took the immediacy he found in Caravaggio's paintings and recreated it in marble with phenomenal and unprecedented virtuosity. The sculptors of the Renaissance had often treated the David theme. Donatello's David is serenely elegant. Michelangelo's is contained, perfect, full of potential. But Bernini's David moves, turns aggressively to confront the observer. True to the spirit of the Baroque, this David is meant to be experienced. The viewpoint in this case, of course, is that of Goliath. It's said that the Cardinal Maffeo Barberini himself held a mirror to Bernini's face so that the young prodigy could use his own expression of intense concentration as the model for the David. When the Cardinal became Pope Urban VIII, he said to the artist, "It is your good luck to see Maffeo Barberini Pope. But we are even luckier, for the Cavaliere Bernini lives at the time of our pontificate." There is scarcely a corner of Rome that was not graced by Bernini's touch. From the small, witty adornment, the elephant and the obelisk in the little piazza of Santa Maria sopra Minerva, to the vast piazza and its enclosing colonnade in front of the Basilica of St. Peter. He is a rare man, said Urban VIII, and a sublime artist, born by divine disposition and for the glory of Rome.
These statements by the great Pope about his favorite artist are significant in two ways. They were prophetic of the prodigious role Bernini would play in his works for Urban and the succeeding popes for a period of 60 years. Rome was transformed into a modern city, replete with public monuments meant not just for the elite, but for everyone to admire and enjoy. The open arms of the vast porticos in front of St. Peter's convey exactly this sense of outreach, beyond the traditional bonds of society, to include every individual in a universal embrace. This concern is made visible in what Bernini described as his least bad work. The Cornaro family chapel, dedicated to the 16th century Spanish mystic Saint Teresa of Avila, which Bernini created about 1650 in the church of Santa Maria della Vittoria in Rome. Our eyes are met by those of the cardinal patron, who looks out from among his ancestors and accompanies the visitor down the nave to view the chapel from the center of the crossing. There we are confronted with a spectacle of truly cosmic proportions. In the pavement before the altar, gesticulating skeletons rise from the lower depths to face their maker at the end of time. The vault of the chapel has scenes from Teresa's life. Bernini makes a chorus of winged and cloud-borne angels singing, playing instruments, and strewing flowers seem to filter through the solid vault, filling the chapel with their fragrant hymns of praise and celebration. At the sides, the members of the Cornaro family appear in balconies with architectural backgrounds whose perspectives merge with that of the church. Their space becomes indistinguishable from ours. They consider, study, discuss, describe, indicate, and thereby bear witness to a mysterious event in which they participate, encouraging us to join them. Here, Bernini created a visual sensation by making a literal portrayal of a woman in ecstasy. From time immemorial, mystics have used the vocabulary of earthly love to convey their feelings to others. Communion with God is like communion with the lover, only infinitely more so. In her autobiography, Teresa describes the famous vision of the Transverberation.
In the angel's hands, I saw a long golden spear, and at the end of the iron tip I seemed to see a point of fire. With this, he pierced my heart several times so that it penetrated my entrails. When he drew it out, he left me completely afire with a great love for God.
The prime tenet of Christianity is that God created the world out of his love for humanity. Bernini made love and creation the key to his chapel.